Hey guys, HackerSploit here, back again with another video, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to fully utilize Meterpreter or a Meterpreter session for post-exploitation, privilege escalation, and finally clearing up your tracks. Alright, so I've mentioned previously in the community section of the channel the reason why the SS7 video is not yet out and the reason for the lack of uploads over the past 2 days, and that is because I was actually feeling a bit sick, and I'm feeling much better now, but if my voice is a bit low during the video, I apologize, and yeah, that's what I wanted to pass on. That being said, let's get started. Now I'm going to assume that you already have a Meterpreter session. Most, it depends on what exploit you've performed, but for me, I'm just going to be using the most recent one, which was the double pulse exploit. And for those of you asking why I made the video so late, I didn't even plan on making the video. Someone suggested to me to make the video. As I said, I follow them. I usually put all the videos in an Excel spreadsheet, and I follow them as and when they were posted. So if you've posted a video suggestion, it will come, or I will usually put it in an Excel sheet, and it will come independent or in relation to when you posted it in terms of date. Alright, so I'm currently going through all of them, and I'm making videos, as you can see, of all of the topics you guys requested. That being said, let's actually get started. So in the previous video, I really didn't do justice when we were exploiting the Eternal Blue double pulsar. I really didn't do any justice as to what you should do after you've gained access to the system. That's because that video focused more on the exploitation side. That being said, I have the Windows 7 virtual machine currently running, and as you can see, we have a Meterpreter session. So we're not going to be focusing on how to exploit it, because we've already looked at that. But as you can see, I have a few files that I've just created on the desktop here that I'll use to illustrate how one can download files from the target operating system onto your operating system, how to clear your tracks, how to perform privilege escalation, how to launch different exe programs, how to edit files, all that good stuff, right? So let's start off first with the basics. As you would know, you have the Meterpreter session. Let's start off with the help command. Alright, so the help command is extremely useful, as I've said many times before. Alright, and you can already see that it's going to give you a list of all the commands that you can use, and they are sorted out in terms of core commands. You then have your file system commands, networking commands, system commands, user interface commands, very important, webcam commands, also really important. You then have elevate commands, which will, as you can see, is get system, and that will elevate your privileges to that of the local system, meaning you'll get administrator access. I was about to say root access, but with Windows it's slightly different. Alright, you can then get the password database commands, very important. You can perform a hash dump that will dump the contents of the SAM database, which you can then use to decrypt and get the password for the user or any user on the computer. Alright, you then have the timestamp commands, which are really not important, but we'll be looking at some of the core and the most important ones, in my opinion, as to what people will be doing. So you can see, if we start off with the core commands, you have your background processes of the current session. You can kill a background Meterpreter script. These are essentially core commands that deal with how the Meterpreter session is handled. So you can see you have the channel close, you can exit, get timeouts, you can get info, and if you look at info, it displays information about the post module. So this is more focused with the Meterpreter session. When it comes down to the target operating system, you can see here, you have the cat command, which will read the contents of a file. So similar to what you have on Linux, you have your change directory, retrieve the checksum, copy, all that good stuff. You then have upload, download, and I'll show you how to use that in a few seconds. You have the move, to delete, you can print the working directory, create a directory, all that good stuff. They'll come in handy in a few seconds. Alright, you then have networking commands where you can perform the ifconfig and ipconfig. That's if you have a shell. I'll show you how to launch a shell here. You can display the host ARP cache. Let me just move on a bit quickly. We have then the clear event log. This is very important for wiping your tracks clean. I'll show you that in a few seconds. Alright, so let's get started now. I've gone through this, and you can go through it yourself. All the commands are listed out here, and it's quite simple. Now, one of the most important ones that you might be asking is, again, we are talking about privilege escalation. Alright, and I think it will be better if I just show you how that works. I think that would help a whole lot more. All right, so let's get started now with the first one and the most important one, changing directory. As you can see, I spoke a bit about that one right now, and you can also list the current working directory. And as you can see, mine is in the system32 folder. So if I just go back and back again, you can see now I'm in the essentially the C drive. And if I change my working directory to users and to Alexis, or let me actually list and show you the users that I currently have there. As you can see, Alexis. So I'm giving you an example of what a hacker or the person who's exploited the system might be doing. So you've gained access, and now you're trying to see if you can download you're trying to see if you can download files that target might have, or files that are potentially important. All right, so if I list files here, let me go into my desktop. All right, and if I list the files now, you can see we have I've just created these two txt documents or txt files. You have the contacts and passwords. So again, someone asked me, how would you go about downloading? Because in the previous video it kind of failed on me, and that's because I actually I went back a directory, and I was talking about privilege escalation. But really, if you're in the working directory, your current working directory, if I perform the print working directory, you can see we are in C users Alexis desktop. So that means I can essentially just download the files without specifying the location. All right. So you might be asking, well, where will it save it on your local operating system? It will save it where you launched Metasploit and where you launched the Meterpreter session. So if you launched it in your desktop, it's going to save the files on your desktop. If you launched it in your home or root directory, which is what I've done and what most of you will do, it's going to save it there. And I'll show you that in a few seconds. All right. So let's say I wanted to download. I type in download, and I just type in let's see passwords.txt, and I hit enter, and as you can see, passwords.txt is done. All right, so you might be asking, can you show us proof that this actually exists? If I go into my home directory here, you can see I have the passwords.txt, and there we are. I've just put a few just random information there, test 1 2 3, put passwords here. And you might be asking as well, how do I know that's the real file? I'll show you here. There we are, test, put passwords here. And usually what happens is with this exploit, you can see we got the Windows Explorer stopped working. This is to do with the double pulsar exploit. If you try and inject the exploit into the Windows Explorer, which is what I recommend, then usually on the client computer or the target operating system, they'll be faced with this issue. But it doesn't matter whether they restart it, you will still have access using the Meterpreter. All right, so let's get back here, and let's go back into my terminal. And that's how to download a file. All right, so whoops, sorry. Now let's look at the other commands. So we've talked about downloading files. We'll be looking at clearing tracks at the very end of the video. All right, that being said, let's look at some of the most important ones. We've talked about changing directory. You can also use the cat command, which I'm pretty sure you're familiar with. So cat, let's see, cat passwords.txt. And I just hit enter, and as you can see, it's just gonna display the information that is in that file. Okay, you can then perform one of the also a very important command, and that is to actually view what user you're currently using. And you might be asking, well, how is that important? Well, it's really very cool actually. So this is I would say a hybrid Windows /user /Linux command, and that is get user ID. Get user ID, user ID, and I type that in. As you can see, you have the computer name and the username. The computer name is very important. As you can see, server username, that's what this computer is going to be called on your local network, if it's on the local network. If not, this can give you a good idea. Let's say you've hacked into an organization and you want to know what exact computer I've hacked into. There you are. You have the name there, the system server name, server username, the network ID. I'm pretty sure you know what that is if you've been using Windows for a long time. All right, now looking at the other commands, if you wanted to know the local IP of that computer, again, this would come in handy if you're in an organization type of situation. All right, so if I type in ipconfig, as you can see here, it's going to start displaying the current connection, which is right here, interface 11, and you can go ahead and look at the IP address that has been assigned to it, and the hardware MAC, which in this case is the VMware MAC that VMware provides to us. All right, so that's how to get network information. You can also use other commands. Let's see what else we haven't talked about. The upload command. Yes, what if you wanted to upload a file if you wanted to upload a file onto into your current working directory that you currently have. So for example, we can say, let's see, we are currently in the root directory. So what if I was to just create also a simple text document? So let's say, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a simple text document here on LiftPad, and I'll just say information, and we'll just call this flag1 upload. All right, just to make sure that we have got the correct file, and I'll save this as let's see, root, and I'll just call this info.txt. So we want to upload this file, and this can also come in handy if you're trying to upload a virus or a Trojan. So for example, you could be trying to upload an exploit or a remote access tool, so you have backdoor access then, or a reverse PHP shell, but that really doesn't come in handy here. What I would recommend is a remote access tool. All right, so so we've actually created that file, and as you can see, it's info.txt. So how do we go about uploading that file? Well, what we would do is we would say upload, and we would specify the file info.txt, and then now we need to specify the destination. I was actually got confused. That's what I was getting confused in the previous video, is you need to specify. So for example, we could say, well, actually, let's see if we can just upload it directly. Now that means it's uploaded it to our current working directory. So let's see if it exists. If I list the files in there, yes, you can see we have the info.txt. If you wanted to specify the location, what you would do is you would use the C command, and then you would specify. So for example, Windows, you then specify like the system32. This is where I would go about hiding a remote access tool. Even if you've used Veil Evasion and you've evaded the antivirus software, you get the idea, right? So that's how to upload files. Really very simple. And if I just the info.txt here, if I just cat that information, you can see we have flag1. There we are. Really simple. Now in terms of the webcam commands, now I cannot demonstrate this because I'm not really a webcam fan, and the reason I even got a webcam was for YouTube, but I don't have it connected right now. So what you can do is the most important command to test, first of all, whether the computer actually has a webcam connected, is perform the webcam command, webcam list. I think it's list. Yes, that will display there we are, and that will show you whether the computer has any webcams installed. This is very important, especially if you have a laptop, if your target is a laptop. All right, you then have the webcam. You might be asking, how do you capture any images? Well, this comes in two types of two types of configurations. The webcam snap command. All right, so this webcam snap, if I just type webcam snap, it's going to tell me target does not have webcam. But if you want to view the help or the commands you can also issue with this command, or the parameters you can specify, usually the webcam help, whoops, sorry, my bad, webcam snap help, and yeah, okay, so if it does have a webcam, it will display the help menu, which will show you, it will allow you to specify the resolution or the quality of the image that you want to take, you want to snap. Now the other awesome thing is that you can get the let me just finish off with things like audio and video first, and then we can look at privilege escalation. I actually don't remember how, this is actually quite embarrassing. I don't remember how to use the microphone, but I'm guessing that will not come in handy right now, because even if you're using a laptop, the microphone commands are really not that important. That being said, I'll actually look into it. I haven't touched on a microphone in a long time. Let's look at privilege escalation. All right. And this is something that's also very important. Now, when I talk about privilege escalation, I'm just talking about giving yourself a better access. So as you can see, get user ID. If I type that in, you can see I'm logged in as Alexis. Now, if I want privilege escalation, I want to be the administrator. I want administrator access. Sorry about that. And that allows me to essentially just do whatever I want. That comes in two types of situations. So the first thing I could do, or I can do, is I can use the execute command, and I can execute the command prompt, all right, which will give me that type of access. But the best way of doing it is to use the shell command. But before we do that, I want to actually use the #dump command, because I want to show you how to dump the contents of the SAM database. All right, this is where essentially the boot key is stored, and you can essentially get the hboot key, and then it will decrypt the user keys, and it will give you the password hashes, which you can then crack, right? So how do you do this? Really very simple. You just type in hash dump and operation, password get, yes, my bad, sorry. What the hell am I doing? Usually I have to specify the location, similar to what you have on Linux. So it's run post Windows gather. Yes, it's in gather, and obviously hash dump. Hopefully that gives us the hashes, the password hashes. There we are, obtaining boot key and Meterpreter, obtain access. All right, so we have to escalate privileges, obviously. So we can just actually launch the shell here. And now we have shell access here, as you can see, and then you can go ahead and perform the hash dump, but you'd need a Meterpreter instance. And as you can see, if you launch the shell, then you then have a command prompt. So now as you can see, I need to press dir. These are Windows commands now, native Windows commands, and there you are. That's how to gain access now to the computer. And then from then onwards, if you wanted to use the Windows commands, you can go ahead and use that. So I think I've pretty much covered all the important ones. We've talked about upload, download, listing all the files, using the shell, searching, webcam commands. What else have we talked about? Let's see, we have talked about the shell just now. We talked about IP config, changing directory, uploading files, and then specifying the directory. And yeah, that's pretty much all the important commands that you can use with Meterpreter to obviously, we forgot one. So I just want to talk about something really important here. All right, now if, for example, we wanted to clear our tracks, we would go about this by using the clear track utility that comes with Windows. And you might be asking, well, what the hell is this? If you've never heard about it, well, I'll explain it to you in a few seconds. So if I just type in here in the Windows command clear ev, and I type in, as you can see, it's not going to give us access. That's because we are currently not using the Meterpreter, and you might be a bit confused there. Well, essentially what we would have to do now is we would have to exit the exploit, and now we are in the Meterpreter. We've gone back a step. Okay, so now we would use the clear ev. All right, and essentially now this will allow you to clear your logs. And if I just hit enter, it's going to show you here wiping 648 records from application. And now you would have to obtain a root access here or administrate access, and then you can then go ahead and clear the other logs, which are the system event logs. And once you've done that, then you can just hit exit, and you're done with the exploit. You've cleared your tracks, you've uploaded a rat, whatever you want to do, you've downloaded files, all that you've wanted to do, and you've cleared your tracks at the end. And you pretty much should have performed whatever you wanted to do. Post-exploitation, privilege escalation, you've uploaded the files, downloaded whatever you want, and then you've cleared your tracks and you're done. And that's the trademark of a successful hacking or exploitation. And I think I've covered a lot about exploitation, and now I want to cover more about maintaining access, stuff like that. And we'll be looking at that when we talk about things like the CTF challenges, and we'll be talking about hack the box. I'm actually creating a series on that where I'll be going through all of them. I actually went through a lot of them, and I've remembered it's actually quite easy, to be honest. The starter ones I'm not going to show off here. That being said, the web application penetration testing series is also going to be continuing. As I said, I'm feeling much better now, so uploads will be regular on a daily basis, and I'll be focusing on your video ideas, the series that we currently have running, and the SS7 video, which is due, and it's going to be coming as soon as I get my legal the legal requirements and satisfy them. And I'm pretty sure not a lot of you actually knew that, and I didn't know that I actually needed a permission to demonstrate such an attack on a on a system that is used, for mass service. I'll explain that later. But that being said, hope you enjoyed this video, you found value in it. If you did, please leave a like down below. If you have any questions or suggestions, let me know in the comment section or on my social networks, or you can hit me up on my website, and I'll be sure or happy to answer your question. That being said, guys, have a fantastic day, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Peace.